Hello, folks.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I've only got one ear, man. I've got one ear.
Put another ear in, man. Put another ear in. What was my head, man? Where's my head gone? Hold on. Do I need to drop this a bit?
Oh, Lord.
Exactly, man. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to put this back a bit before I knock down my background. Hello? Wait, where's that guest gone? Hello? Where's our guest? Can you hear me? Oh, you ain't got your headphones in.
I can hear you, but it's not very loud.
I'm not loud. What do you mean I ain't loud? Oh, wait 1 second. Let me turn off this music. Hello, can you hear me now? Maybe that's your headphones. Turn your radio up. Turn your radio up.
Well, my phone, you wasn't loud through my phone, man.
Is that what it was? Okay, right there. Here's our guest. Tonya Kelly. Did you read a biography? So you know, I assume you did.
That was some serious detail, man. You sent over some serious detail.
Hey, Tonya, how's it going?
How are you? Hi, Nigel.
This is my home
Hey,
girl.
Tonya, you're right.
Nice meeting you both. I can see you now.
Feeling good. Tonya is my home girl from. Wait, let me get this right. Ohio. Wait there. Wait,
Ohio.
Is that right? Ohio.
Ohio.
You know,
Ohio.
Is it look high? Ohio.
So it's Ohio. So like OHIO.
Ohio. Is
How we roll.
Ohio.
I didn't even, like I said to Tonya, I was on our Family Affair podcast in the week, and I was like, I've never thought I would have a problem saying an American name, but then she said Ohio, and I was like, oh my god, Ohio.
You can't say Ohio.
Ohio.
I don't feel like it sounds like that. I feel like it sounds like Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah, man, you
no.
isn't he clean?
No, OHIO.
Ohio.
You must have, man. Man.
It's Ohio.
Ohio.
Anyway, welcome to Blackopolypse. Anyone got the streaming exactly? Looking if there's anyone actually watching. I don't know. Has anyone got a stream open?
On YouTube.
Actually, I think I've got it. Actually, I do have it up. Yeah, I have it up. But I'm going to actually turn it off. Oh, someone's... Drew Green, hello. Turn your camera right side up. I think it was talking to you. Where I'm located, are you located? We're in Germany. You're like, Guten Tag. Hey, Drew Green, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. Anyway, welcome to the Blackopolypse podcast. This is the 44th episode. It's great to have you with us, Tonya.
Yes, I am excited to be here. Thank you for having me again. Last week was amazing. Great conversation, great topic. So let's do it again.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to do this podcast based around you because you're like our guest. I hope you're going to be more obviously a regular guest.
Okay.
We're going to try and find out who you are, obviously, because it's always important for our listeners to know who we're talking to. So, Tonya, I understand you come out of Ohio, of course, and you're a big sports fan. The new Bucks, what they call the new Bucks, the Water Bucks, something Starbucks, Buffalo Bucks, Buckweed. No, what is?
We call for soccer here in Columbus, Ohio. Is the Columbus Crew. Our college football team is the Ohio State Buckeyes. So you probably know about the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
We have two NFL teams, not in Columbus, but one is Cincinnati Bengals, and then we have the Cleveland Browns. Those are our NFL teams. And then we have hockey, Blue Jackets, and we have the Cleveland Indians. That is our MLB, what we call baseball. And then we have a actual, what is called Columbus. Hey, so I'm at school. So then we have a team which is called the Columbus Clippers. So that's like the D League. So we have a few sports, but my best is college football. It is back. It's coming back. October 24th is our first Buckeye game. So What I actually cover sports. So I cover the NFL, NBA, I cover Ohio State Buckeyes for the men and women's.
Okay.
And then I started my community organization. My daughter was bullied, cyberbullied to where she wanted to commit suicide. So I started an organization called Empower Our Youth, and we are a voice for our youth against bullying. And what we do is that we spread awareness through anti-bullying education to our students and our youth and our community, and just let them know that they don't have to suffer in silence, which we see so many times, not just in the United States, but across the world. So it just allows us to put a face into it, because that word is so taboo, especially in the African American culture. You know, bullying is still taboo. So these are my granddaughters, so you can see them both.
Hello. Hi, what's up? I love your hair, man. That's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, so my granddaughters are here. Wait, you gotta go for a minute. I'm talking. I know.
They're like my kids.
Okay, we'll get someone more in a minute. So this way. So yeah. So and then I have teacher in the community with virtual distant learning coming into play with COVID-19. I started teacher in the community, and what that does is actually we bridge teacher, which I'm an educator, to families and provide them assistance of how to navigate distant learning. So helping them, get a to-do list, or I call a schedule for their students, for their children. A lot of the same, I would say, virtual applications that I am using, they're using across the globe: Seesaw, Class Dojo, Google Classroom. So this also have a partnership, teaching our families how to have a relationship with the school, so that when things do arise, and incidents and, discrepancy, or just pretty much having some conversations that are sometimes hard to have, building that relationship with your school and your teacher, and understanding that a teacher goes home also as a parent, but also making sure that when there is things that are happening, just again with distant learning itself, they know how to navigate and how to speak and how to advocate. We talk about self-advocating for our students and self-advocating for our families. So that is all about Tonya Kelly. I'm a wife, 3 children, 4 grandbabies, and again, sports, I live and breathe it, and it is back. So listen, it's Taco Tuesday. It's time to watch the sports.
I want to know.
Watch the sports highlights.
Before we get on to the more important stuff, I want to know how's the difference between college football and NFL football, and we don't know, because we don't like.
For me, I love college football because it's the heart. When I cover sports, I am all about the passion. I want to know the huddle. So for me, the huddle is where it's at. I need to know what they were saying, because that's where you really understand if from men to boys, when you're talking about the huddle, like what it takes when they're down 50 points or 10 points, if they're like on the 10-yard line and they got they 4th and 2, that huddle is where it's at. That's where that conversation. So when they mic them up, I'm that one. I'm like right there. So when I get those times to talk after it's over, when they have the post conferences, it allows me to ask that question. Most of us as men, they ask all those stat questions like, what happened on 10 and 5? And I'm like, dude, no, I want to know, did they cuss? Who was talking? Who was the leader? Who changed the narrative? Who changed, who had that lasting conversation that changed the game? So those are kind of questions as a woman. That's why I call it sports from a woman's perspective, because it allows us to have a voice. Why do you wear, like right now with Black Lives Matter, NBA and NFL are really taking a stance. And that's where no one really understood across the globe that, we thought it was going to be one way, and it's not. The NBA took a stance against Black Lives Matter, and that meant volumes. And just like the NFL, even though Colin Kaepernick's not back, to me, it was a stance. It's the first thing that we needed to do to bridge forward, to understand that systematic racism is here. So again, to be able to have sports and for us to be able to see these issues, come out and see them unfold live, it's great to see how athletes are really starting to stand up, and that money is not a trigger anymore. A value is more of them now, their heart. They're speaking with their heart. That this
it's about time.
Yeah, about time. Yeah. We see so much over the years, and athletes were kind of silent. So to see them really, but it's the millennials, the 25,
crazy,
the 35, the 40, the 35s, they're really taking a stance and having a say of how they stand up and why they stand up. And these owners they're having to take a second glance. And so you're seeing now, more of the athletes, you're seeing the administration, you even seeing head coaches now taking a look again of who's on their team and what's real, and not so much forget the money. The money's off the table. We'll sit out. So they're having to really understand that when they're going into these, these owners conversation and these owner tables, it's a different conversation. So I think that millennials are breaking it open.
Yeah, I think with the millennials, this thing, innit? I want to touch on that a second. I think that's basically because, like, okay, not so much me, but I know a lot of my friends had a lot of stuff when they were growing up. So we weren't from poverty, like maybe the older generation was. So for us, it's like we had. So we don't care, we're going to talk to you about the issue. We're not scared that you're going to take our change, you know what I mean? We don't care if you're going to take our, our paycheck, because we know how to get it again, you know what I mean? So I think that's what it basically is with us. We don't care, man. We're going to take people down. It's about, like I said, it's going to be,
great. And it's great to see that no care attitude. My mom was a sharecropper in the 60s. So to see this revolution come back again in 2020, and I'm 50, and I never thought I would see it in my lifetime, but it's great because now my children are these young millennials that have a voice. Like that's why I keep saying that Rise Up 2020. COVID-19 didn't do nothing but wipe it clean. Everybody has a voice. The African American is loud and clear, and our millennials are paving the way, and they're picking up esteem, and you got to listen. You don't have a choice but to listen, because like you said, money doesn't matter. Status doesn't matter anymore with a millennial, because they're entrepreneur in some right. Most of them are entrepreneurs. So they're used to grinding, and dealing with those different disparities that we see every day. They're used to that. So it was like, if you don't listen, we're not going to make you no money. So I think, these major, teams and even the world itself, the globe is changing. So, I say rise up.
Good place.
I love it.
Finally. It's about time.
Finally.
What I want to ask you is, because you said something about, obviously, the empowerment of Black people. You touched on, well, basically that's what you're talking about. So what do you think of people like Candace Owens, who talks us down as Black people and says that we're obviously it's our fault why everything's the way it is, and because I don't know, it's kind of weird. Even we have one of our own people telling us that it's because of the way we are is why we're in this mess. I think we touched on this on Thursday as well a little bit.
I think so too. I think with us, I know. Bye. Get over there. Don't go over there. I think for us, it was actually been embedded, again, starts from, even for me, I grew up where history wasn't told to us except for what you learned in the textbooks. And even our moms, those conversations, I call those fables and those folk tales that went on and they passed down generations. But I think with me becoming a teacher, it allowed me to have a open eye to something that was different, learning. And I think that's the difference between us parents back in the 50s and 60s. Even though they learned, it was, you were only given, but so much. Now the revolution has changed. Now the space has changed, especially now in the last 10 years. Our children can learn anything. Our kids can live anywhere. We can live anywhere. And when I say myself, like it's like the 70s and 80 children, we're able to live anywhere in this world without having someone say no. And if it's no, I'm going to find out the answer. And my daughter is at an HBCU college. And at first I kind of was like, why? Why you want? And she said, for the experience. Like, Mom, I've always had my counterpart experience. I want to know what my experience is. So when I look across the globe, my children are Somali children. They know their heritage. They know where they come from. They know their ethnicity. Whereas African American, like myself, we're still finding out who we are, finding out, what makes us tick, who we are as a people versus other ethnicities. They know who they are. They can talk about those stories, and our stories is kind of jumbled up between,
slavery, basically.
Yeah, slavery, conversation, and
nothing else.
And then nothing else. And those same historians, Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. And now as a teacher, I'm able to share, and they share with me about other, historians that paved the way for us that we had no clue even about until I became a teacher. So it's great to learn from other cultures, because now as an African people, and they always keep saying, well, it's our fault. No, it's not. I don't think it's not our fault. I think it's our fault with the way the world was. The world was not set up back then for us to know. Because I think when you know, you can do better. When you know, you can grow. So that no was no longer there for us. So now we learn as a people, and we still have things that are going on with Black on Black crime and all the other, initiatives that are out there. But I think also it allows us to have another space for us to talk about that. And
it's
the
funny you
prison
should say that.
So
Just to cut you off a second, it's nice that you say that, because when Candice is this is the first time I actually figure out where and who Candice Owen is probably trying to appeal to and talk to. It's not us, the older people. Okay, I don't know if I'm considered an older person. If she's referring to the younger people, now these guys should be able to utilize all the opportunities available to them. They should be able to. There's no argument for them. But like the older, like say your generation, like you're 50, so for you it's still a little bit harder. You grew up while stuff was still going a bit crazy. My mom and older people, they were still like really in the middle of racism. But the younger people now, we've got like all the opportunities to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go to university. I'm going to go and start a business. So yeah, I understand that now. The newer generation, they've got no reason to cuss and say, oh, we didn't make it because there's like this whole stuff stopping me. There isn't actually. So now I understand what you're saying. And I kind of understand what she's saying, because I'm always like, when I listen to her, I think to myself, what is she talking about? But if she's just trying to appeal to the youth, say the 30 and younger, then maybe she has a point. Maybe. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
I can't say I've actually heard too much from Candice Owens, but what you got to remember in every society, every race, every colour, there's always going to be one person who says that the grass is blue and one person who says that the grass is green. So this vision of, oh, all of us black people, we're all going to hold hands, we're all going to get on. It's a fallacy, because you can go to many countries in Africa where black people have treated black people just as bad as anybody. I think in terms of the racism, though, most certainly, yes, we definitely seem like we're making some kind of inroads now. More people are aware. I've had conversations with white people about racism, which I wouldn't have had that conversation with them, before COVID-19. It would never have been a thing. It would never have been spoken. No one would have said to me, have you ever had racial abuse? Because people just didn't. But I think, yes, if we'd have had this openness that we have now 100 years ago, then we'd be living in the Star Trek generation now, because we'd have moved past all this, oh, I'm going to shoot you, oh, I'm going to bomb you, oh, I'm going to take your oil. But this higher level of thinking, which we now are starting to embrace, and that's people of colour and other races, it can only take us on a better path. Because once you're more open, you get things off your chest, you actually feel better. You actually feel like you've got a voice in the world. So, for me, it's been a big thing. The biggest thing in my lifetime to do with kind of any kind of significant pressure on authorities and the synergy across countries. Because if you think about it, when things have happened in America before, it's just normally just been America, and what little news comes out, that's it. Obviously, the rest of the media report what they want to report. So it's never, these people of colour got beat up. It's, they must have caused trouble first, or maybe they started a riot and that's why they got a beating. But, with Black Lives Matter, because, I'm trying to think of what countries didn't get involved. I heard that South Korea was involved, Japan was involved, Australia, New Zealand.
Everybody.
So there was countries where there's no black people, and they were going out and saying, no, seriously, man, I've seen marches in certain countries. There was no black people there, but they were going out marching for Black Lives Matter. So for me, that's a significant. And I remember I had a conversation with a lady, I can't remember her name at the moment. She lived in Oxford. And she always said to me this thing about the rainbow children, how they're going to change the world. She called them the rainbow children. And, how old am I now? I'm 46, 16 years ago. So 2004. So yeah, millennials, 2000. And it's happening, man, because they, like you say, they live by their rules. And they realise that they realise that the rules that we've all lived by have been reset. They can reset these rules. Look at Bitcoin. I mean, funny. You've got this computer software that can miss out your bank or completely. For a long time, the banks were like, oh, no, you're going to get ripped off. Now they're looking to invest in it because they can see there's money in it. So that's the thing. Us serfs are meant, whether you're white or black, us serfs are meant to stay low. Stay low. Don't rise above your station. And then there's this panic because they're thinking, well, we don't want to miss out on that gravy train either. But most certainly, Black Lives Matter, the openness, the fact that people are more prepared to engage. It kind of showed you who the racists are. The ones who refuse to kind of acknowledge that there's this problem. Obviously they don't realise because they're not this colour, but they see the news. They must realise there's a disparity between how many times I'm seeing someone's religion or someone's colour, but when I'm seeing someone of the same colour as me, we're not talking about their religion. No. You know what I mean? What's all that about? So yeah, man, it's a good positive thing. Really positive.
Cool. What I want to talk about is obviously touch on too is the bullying thing, because I was kind of bullied because I ended up in an accident when I was young, when I was a baby. Well, I burnt my fingers. If you can see on the picture, see this.
Oh wow, okay.
That's like, I just realized that was probably like 2nd to 3rd degree burns, man, because they actually deformed my fingers in the end. It's okay, I'm all right. I got over it. I was only like 1.5 years old. It was unfortunate, but it happened. But obviously, you can imagine what that would have been like when I went to school. Kids, they have no heart, man. And they come up with, even my daughter was like to me the other day, you got a finger like a sock. Look at my finger. Look at what she said. I was like, no, it's back.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm back in there. I'm back in 1986 in nursery.
Oh my God.
With me,
hang your finger off the fireplace at Christmas, man, and call it a stocking. That's your stocking finger.
Stocking finger.
Oh my God.
It got so bad.
Hey, your daughter needs to go on stage, mate. She's got banter already, man.
She's got proper banter. Trust me, she's heavy. She's heavyweight.
We're doing a show actually, so yeah. I'll let you know.
I'll get her over there.
A sock, Sorry, man.
So you already see. Can you imagine being in school? Can you imagine?
Trust me. That was just one of the kids. We had little Jamaicans.
The thing is, kids are cool because kids have no filter.
No filter.
The thing is, you don't actually realise. I mean, obviously, growing up in the 70s, there's a lot of racism and blackie and all that malarkey. And to be fair, it never really used to bother me. But I mean, bullying is different now. Bullies can follow you home. Bullies can have a go at you while you're in your bed. Go to bed to sleep. Because you might look at your phone and they've sent you some pig's head or something and said that you're going to get beat up. Back in the day, as soon as you went in your house, you were safe. Or if you had a big brother or a couple of cousins.
Right.
And I think, bullies, and I think every single child that does the bullying needs to go through some kind of re-education, or we need to find out why, because normally someone's a bully because of a reason. It's easy to say parents. You don't know whether there's other siblings. Right. You don't know whether they're feeling left out. You don't know whether they're being bullied by their parents. You don't know whether their parents have set no boundaries, so they just do whatever they like. So when they go to school, they think they can do whatever they like. So you can't just say parents, because that's a catch-all. I keep telling you about catch-alls. There is lots of factors which influence how a person is, and you can't just put someone in a box and say it's because of that reason. I work with a lot of therapists and counsellors, and they never see someone on one session and solve that problem, because the problem is always that deep-rooted. They've got to go way back. You've got people who are acting out what they've lived when they were 10, 11 years old, when they're in their 30s and 40s. You know what I mean? So but bullying...
And you said something profound, like Nigel, when it talks about the catch-all as well as bullying. It follows you home. And that's why, again, when my first daughter was bullied, it was still like 2005, where when you went home, you didn't ever see it. Just like myself, I was bullied, but it didn't never follow you home. So you had to deal with it in school, and you knew how to compartmentalize it. Now you have cyberbullying, you have social media, you have something that's relentless, that never goes away. These children, again, that's why we do the education for our families, to let them know how to be online savvy, because most parents are 50s, 60s, they're 70s, 80s babies. So a lot of them, they send their children to school. They don't know that their child's being bullied, because again, it's what happened. It's the catch-all. You don't know what their home environment is. A lot of the bulliers that I have, talked to and we've, and mentored, they were bullied in the beginning. They were the bully. And it could have been, it's not even appearance. It could be just where you didn't have lunch money. Like, that's how trivial it gets.
Yeah.
And for my daughter's story, it was none of those things. She was a cheerleader. It was just the fact that she had took up for another girl that was being bullied. And what the bullies did, they latched on to my daughter.
Focus on your daughter.
The focus off of her, and it went to my daughter. And I say cyberbullying, it goes in those 6 different stages that they always talk about. It is relentless. It is distress. I mean, it literally never goes away. And then that's where I always talk about the teacher in the schools. There is no laws really governing cyberbullying. And that's where the language has to change across the globe. Yeah. It's not just in the U.S., it's across the globe. We have to change that cyberbullying is a crime. Because if you was to hack into someone's business, you're going to jail.
The thing is, I mean, you'd never get it classed as a crime because someone would pull out some mantra about free speech. And that's the first thing. Hey, it's free speech. I can say what I like, do who I like. And someone would pull that out. I think most certainly what needs to happen is that those, like you say, you're mentoring bullies. Those bullies do need to be spoken to, but on a level of, well, why is this happening? And you're right, a lot of things do play out. They play out. We've seen it ourselves as children growing up with our parents who played out how they were treated by their parents, who played out how they were treated by their parents, you know what I mean? So there's this kind of this thing which is inherent, it's kind of learned. But you're right, a bully will turn from that, like you say, he's still somebody, then you become the victim. What I always found growing up was, and obviously I'm not advocating violence, but a quick thump to the head generally used to settle things, because when the bully realised that, why that man thumps hard, let's be friends. Should we play football instead? I had a couple of bullies when I was younger, and both of them I give some shot boxes to, and both of them became very, very good friends of mine. Well, we played football together, and knocked on my door, asked me to come out. Wow. This is after they called me all kinds of names, and I gave them a couple of shot boxes. And maybe
I think it's different today, though. I think it's different today. It's basically like you've got the social media, and then you've got like the peer pressure to go along with it. So bullying back in the day, you probably had like a guy and 2 of his friends who used to pick on hard guys with the leather jackets, and he's be like, "Give me your money," But today you got like all these guys all connected in social media. So you're on like Facebook, and you're probably in a group of your school or whatever it is. In my case, Harris Church of England. And everyone's in there. And then someone puts some stupid stuff about you in there. You got like the whole school laughing at you. And you know how detrimental that is for one's confidence. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God.
Yes. And that's how it is. It's like someone's confidence is gone based off of, again, because it starts with one person. And then by the time lunchtime comes, you have over 100 people. And it's not just students at your school. It can be outside. So again, the social media has relentless, where there's nothing that's governor. Is everybody, like you said, that freedom of speech. But what about that child who cannot speak for themselves, who actually comes?
Absolutely. I'm just saying that
it's teaching them, and that's what we're teaching them, that self-advocacy, so that if the child does not have that environment to help them, which again, we might have it, but the other person doesn't, we're teaching them how to have that self-advocacy. That means to speak up, don't be silent, understanding tips and tools of how to deal with it, because everybody deals with trauma different, but we still have to make sure that they're understanding that no matter what it is, it's still wrong, but this is how you speak up for yourself.
Do you think, and this is one of the problems that I think parents face, and society as well, and I'm not just going to blame it on any particular leader, but when you look at the people in authority, the people who make decisions, their behaviour towards other people, whether they're in authority or same age or whatever. And some of it does amount to bullying. You see it played out on the news all the time when certain people have got a mic in front of them. You know, how can we create a society where that isn't even a thing, when all around us is what we see anyway? You know, you have countries bullying countries, you have individuals bullying individuals, you have kids being bullied by their parents. It's a hard thing, man. It's a very, you know, boy, now I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's like, well, how would you stop that? I mean, I would imagine at school, I'll be honest, I probably would have been classed as a bully at some times. And my argument to that was that I'm black, don't mess with me. That boy called me an N-word. The boy called me an N-word 3 years ago, but 3 years later, I'm still like cussing his shoes and stuff, you know. And when I think back, I think, oh, God. But where, you know, when would I have made that cross between realising I shouldn't be doing that and, you know what I mean? And I used to go church, man, so it wasn't like I didn't know right and wrong, but I think I was defending myself as a black youth. And my kind of outward thing was, because I grew up in an estate where there was probably 3 black families, so the school I went to was predominantly white. I'm not saying I went through much racism, but when I defended myself and I stood out, I always kind of, I repeated what it was all about. So people knew, man, they're messing me once and they had it for the rest of the year in their ears. Not, I won't lick them, just in their ear. Blah, blah, blah. And when I think about it, yeah, I probably did bully some people. And my justification is, well, people tried to bully me, but did it make it right? No, it didn't. So it's a hard one, man.
What of bullying? What is it? What constitutes a bully? Because, like I said, today's bullies, it's covert. It's like racism, basically. It's kind of
it's a way of, it's an ego boost for the bully. It's an ego. You know, if you've got a group of people around you and you say, "Oh, look at that guy's big ears," and everyone's like, "Oh, you're the joker. You're the centre of attention." It's like, yeah, man, it's funny, enough.
Makes it even worse when you have most bullying. They need a show.
You need an audience. So and it can be something as the thing is, in the UK we have this thing called banter. So like, say me and Wayne and a couple of our friends was in a room, and you do the same in America. You probably call it cussing, or what's that thing? Roasting. Roasting, dissing. Well, you know, we'll sit in a room and I'll say, "Oh, Wayne, man, your teeth them buck like donkey," and you'll say, "Nigel, man, your head shiny like the sun," and you know, we'll have that banter around us, but that's banter. But then I've been in situations where I've been with a group of friends and the banter's been there, and then the man's flipped. The man's flipped out, said the wrong thing. I don't know, mentioned his mum, I don't know, but next thing the man's swinging. But it's banter. You know, where does banter become bullying? Where does just having a laugh? Oh, look at your dodgy shoes. When does it then become nasty? I suppose. And where do you intervene? Where do you then say, well, you know, that's bullying?
Started it. It's his fault. You know,
it's hard, man. It's hard. And I say fair play for trying to tackle it as well, though, because
you know, it was called cracking when we were growing up, so we just got used to it. And you know, and so now it's,
what do you call it? Cracking?
Yeah, we called it cracking. So cracking is where like you make jokes. We called it cracking. Yeah, man. So it was like cracking.
We call it cussing, cuss bad word, banter.
Yeah, so you call it banter? That's what you call cracking.
I've seen one of the mans them literally get off a bus because he was getting that much cuss word from the mans them. You have to get off the bus 2 stops early because all you could hear was I got up, we didn't see him again after that. He didn't hang around with us again after that.
He jumped off a bridge. He's
still alive, but he just stopped hanging around with us. And I did actually think to myself, did we go too far? But there's always a certain person in your group who was the butt, who was the one who got all the ribs and, well, look what your shoes them are. You just did, didn't you? But then was that bullying? Or was it banter? Or was it because that was our little crew of colour? It didn't matter. I you know what I mean? It's hard because
my line comes with. That's where the fine line is. But
we faced a different enemy back in the day, didn't we? Because we all knew that we had to stick together. So our jokes between ourselves was good. Then there became a point where it was like, oh, you're my enemy now. Don't matter about this racism thing. You're my enemy. We're going to fight each other. Doesn't matter that you're my sister or my brother. You know what I mean? And that's, where did that start?
Because the compassion changed. Like, you know, even when we were cracking, there was a compassion and an empathy. Now students don't have none of that because, again, society has allowed us as well, especially for kids, to be where they can say and speak with no authority, with no respect, no empathy, no kindness, no, just no kinder. So now it's where it's just almost like a free for all. So where we had, we would always think like, okay, did I go too far? These kids don't, their main thing is, did I go farther enough? Did I go far enough? So it changed the
They're evil, man. I'm going to go live in a cave.
Yeah, so it changed how everybody speaks and how they speak to you. And even how they speak, it goes back to respect of how they speak to teachers. You know, there were certain ways that we wouldn't. There were some teachers we would joke with like, oh, okay. And there was other teachers that was by the book. Now, kids speak in any manner. So what we do is build that relationship, build that self-rapport. How do you speak so that you can understand, like, is this cracking or is this just, talent?
Aren't we just talking about manners here? Because at the end of the day, I'm not being funny. Please and thank you and patience. These are things that, so somewhere along the line then, some of these parents of these kids haven't said to them, look, man, you know, one of the things I remember saying to my son once, it's probably the wrong thing to say, actually. I said to him, it doesn't matter what exams you get. I think what's going to take you the furthest in life is how you treat other people and what manners and respect you show them. And to be fair, his exam results weren't great, but he's always been, apart from a few scrapes and that, he's always been a good kid. He's always maintained his manners. He'll always walk into a room and say hello, you know, greetings, good, you know what I mean? He's always done that, and I've got to hold him in high esteem for that, because I've been out and I've seen some of these kids you're talking about, and I hear them talking to their parents. And I'm like, hold on a minute, hold on a second. Did you give birth to her, or did she give birth to you? Because they're talking to them like say they're not even their friend, and you just think, well, if they ain't got them boundaries there, that means they got them no boundaries anywhere. If they've got no boundaries there, then they've got no boundaries anywhere. And I think society is throwing quite a few of those out. And I don't just blame parents, though. Don't get it twisted. This is what the kids. No. Show me your government, man. What is the common denominator for all children across the United States and the UK? Give me two common denominators.
Media.
Right, media.
Give me another one.
And music.
Boom. So they spend 80%, well, okay, let's say 70% of their waking time either watching or listening.
Yes.
Not interacting, not talking, not hearing someone say, oh, please, thank you, blah, blah, blah. So to a degree, we're creating this society of people who, well, I don't know, man.
Say what I want, be what I want.
I don't want to be 80 walking down my road around my estate. I'd rather be somewhere nice and secure, because they'll come take me, man, kick away my stick and say, well, boy, old man, we had to work around here.
Yeah, society of bad boys, basically, isn't it? When their idols are rappers and stuff like this. And all
this is what I'm saying.
It seems cool.
And it's society has allowed, and we've allowed as parents, we haven't said, oh, no MTV or you can't listen to that, because we know from peer pressure, they will get bullied. Have you heard the latest so-and-so? No, what my mom says, you can't hear that music. Oh, you must be some kind of crazy kid. So even, you can't even say you can't do, if you said, oh, you're not having a PlayStation ever, they'd be the butt of the school for the rest of their life. So you have to conform for them so that you can almost fingers crossed think, yeah, at least they can't pick on them for that. But what society is creating the media and the music, there's your common denominator. You can't even say console games, because this is deeper than all that. But it's the media. What have they seen? What images did we see after 9/11? What religion did we see most of after 9/11? I said to these guys the other week, I didn't even know what a Muslim was before 9/11. I mean, after 9/11, I knew what a Muslim was, but they didn't say Egyptian or Libyan or Muslim. So there you go, catch all.
And that's what my kiddos hear when they depict 9/11, it's not in a great format, because when 9/11 happened, and most of them were either coming over to the United States as refugees, or their parents were here and then they came later, that stigma is still. And then Muslim is not just, I would say a brown face. It became a black face. Yeah. So again,
slowly but surely.
So yes, what we're doing in a minute.
So yeah, it's society, man. Society.
It's a power imbalance. That's why I keep saying with the when it comes to bullying, there's a power and it's an imbalance, because there's no one to tell them no, like from media, from society, as well as their environment. The environment's changed. When we were growing up, there was a village and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So there was still a village. There's now children are creating villages. Teachers and staff are creating villages in their classrooms. They're creating villages for them. So you have to still stand strong of making sure that they know, like a bully, everybody is different when it comes to the emotion. So you have to be understanding. I think too, we had to understand, even though we were cracking and we shouted back, we had an understanding of empathy, what that looked like. We knew when it got too far. Their kids now, they don't even know what empathy is. They don't know what kindness looks like, because it's never been told to them.
Yeah.
So that's
do you think
our students?
Do you think that there should be emotional intelligence should be something that's introduced to schools from, say, primary age? I mean, even though you shouldn't have to, because people should know good from bad, they should know kind from nasty. But do you think that there's something to say, let's introduce emotional intelligence into the curriculum and almost go back to teaching people how to be bloody nice and how to be respectful and to respect others? And
yes. Oh my gosh, Nigel, you're just saying that at my school, we teach characteristics called character ed. And character ed, we teach character ed and we teach social emotional learning. And again, all that is teaching our students how to be social conscious, have emotions. And I think with our school, this is why I love Horizon at my school, because when I came here, I was like, you teach emotion, like social emotions, how to speak,
That's fantastic.
Respect, characteristics. We talk about the 8 characteristics of respect, trustworthy, honesty, being a
fantastic.
Like those are things that are not in our school. It's almost like you took prayer out of school. It's like they took these characteristics out of school. And now bullying has taken place. And it's not just about, the bullier. These are subtle things, even with teachers bullying. So it has to be a whole combination of one. For me, I became an advocate because it happened to me and it changed my whole entire world. It changed my whole entire world. So
I think that's an international movement you've got there, really. Because I mean, if you could find a platform, a channel, somewhere to get that out on mass, because I think, there's a lot to be said. I mean, I'm 46 now, and it took me to about the age of mid-30s to actually understand emotions, understand why I reacted to certain things, emotional intelligence. But then, I'm not saying that a kid's going to get it because they're still young, but most certainly showing them from an early age, these are the way that you're supposed to, but these are the positive ways of behaviour and these are negative ways. It's not just about good and bad. I know that church did a lot of that for a lot of people, but church has been diluted now. Church has been so diluted that people don't really go there for anything other than just to have some company on a Sunday most times still. We have got to go back to those moments where people just kind of appreciated each other. We had a kinship. We had a kinship when we was growing up.
Respect, a total respect. But there's no
because
like you said, this is a wide movement. I've talked to so many students and organizations across, but since I've started my company, that it's across. Like there's no federal laws in place to protect bullying. So only thing what we do is just try to advocate. That's making sure that they are aware of their voice. I think kids have gotten away from what their voice was. We had a voice automatically because our parents taught us. But our children that are coming up now, the voice is kind of like sprinkled in between social media, what you see on TV, what you hear from the streets, and not so much. understanding what your volume, what your voice is, how powerful it is. Look what's happening right now with COVID-19, with the riots all over the world, with the globe and the world listening to us and seeing what we're doing. That voice is making sure that you are showing your independence. And you're saying, I don't like this. Going back to just those small, like you said, characteristics of being empathy. That's a lot of it is just showing some empathy that a lot of students don't know what that looks like. So we do is that our students, I know my door in the background, so, and we just show them that, listen, this is how you can be a voice. I know, listen, when you're school, you can hear anything. That's what I told her last week. Like, I'm still at school, you can hear anything go on in my school.
Hey, do you think
them tunes sound smooth, man?
Don't you think that empathy starts at home, though? Don't you think it's something that the parents?
Yeah, but Wayne, it starts at home with parents who have empathy. But I'm saying
that's the thing.
You can't catch up. What you got to remember is that society creates different people, and different parents are different to different parents. So, one of the things I had to learn a long time ago was that I could not be angry or upset at somebody else's behaviour based on how I thought they should act, because they're not me. They weren't brought up by me. They didn't have my mum, my dad go to my church, do this, do that, go to my school. So every decision that I make is based on me and my experience. I've actually seen people fall out with people. I've heard them cuss people because they haven't done something which this person in their head thought they should have done, or said something in their head the way this person thought they should have said it. So it's you can't ever catch all, because there's too many factors which influence a person. There's parts of you which will be influenced by your mom. There'll be parts of you that will be influenced by your siblings. There'll be parts of you that will be influenced by Julia. You've been with Julia, 14, 15 years? I'm sure that you're a different person to when you first met her, because there's certain influences that you've carried. And this is the thing. This is why you can't just get a brush and go, yeah, man, it's the parents, or it's because they're black, or it's because there is this, or because there is that, because there's too many factors which make that up. Parenting classes maybe should be an idea, possibly. But
the thing is, saying that, but when you look at someone like Japan, for example, they have the utmost respect for anybody. Like I said, when I was in Japan and they basically were bowing to me until I left, and I was like, why are you bowing to me for, man? You didn't get the message.
Ingrained within the culture, bro.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So that's what we need to do too. We need to follow, take some pointers from Japan. You're talking
of thousands and thousands and thousands of years of culture. If you think about it, what culture has Britain got right now?
It's a matote of chaos.
What culture has America got right now?
It's also a matote of chaos.
You know what I mean? In Japan, right, their kids. So my friend moved back to Japan with his wife, and the reason his wife has moved back is because in the Japanese culture, the eldest child looks after the parents when they become elderly. Yeah. I know for a fact there's people in this country, when the elderly person becomes ill, they run the other direction. Man, just tell me when they're dead, man, I can read the will. So that's it's culture, mate. We've got what it is with the Western society, and I'd say UK and I'd say US. I wouldn't even class Europe as that, because I think the Europeans are slightly different to the UK. We've become very selfish. We've become very, where's mine? When am I going to get mine? I want mine. And don't get me wrong, COVID has amplified that as well. But I just think that to expect, you can't blame parents for the ills of their child, because the parents themselves may have been brought up that way themselves. If they've been brought up by people who haven't got empathy, how are they gonna? They're gonna just discover empathy themselves. They've got to find that from somewhere else. If they don't find it at home, they then carry that into their next relationship. Oh, empathy, just get on with it. It just follows through, man. And until you can kind of, it's like, for example, now you have broken the pattern for dad. If you think about it, look at dad, X amount of kids, no marriage, woman here, woman there, You've got your kids, you're with your woman. You've broken the pattern, man. You've broken that mold. But based on dad and the way that dad was brought up, and probably the way that his dad was brought up, the pattern should have been, X amount of kids here, there, everywhere, and running around like a headless chicken. But you decided, nah, man, that ain't for me. That ain't the life I want. So, you know, you've got to find that inner strength. You've got to almost see the badness to realise what's better sometimes. But you can't just blame a parent for the ills of a child, especially when society's bringing up a child now more so than a parent.
Yeah.
It's society that's bringing up a child. Sorry, man. I just took over. I'm passionate, man. I'm on fire today.
Yeah, you didn't came all the way like,
Well, it is.
Right.
It's like,
Anyway.
I tell you on my last note, I tell you why I say that. You listen to a boy play on his Xbox or PlayStation and count how many profanities come out of his mouth when you're not in that room.
Yeah.
And you tell me this is. Right. You tell me that boy's not going to go to school and say them same words. Please, come on, man. Society is raising the children. That's why the children are losing the way slightly. But society wants mom and dad to work 45, 60 hours a week and have 17 jobs. So, hey, what can we do?
All right. Good. I want to move on now because we've spoken enough about bullying and stuff. Tonya, okay, you was unfortunately bestowed with the big C, which I hate more than anything. I do feel like that's you can see that as disease. I don't know. I think that's something that's really weighing down on the planet. I'm aware that there is a lot of alternative methods to healing this stuff, especially in the Caribbean and Cuba and places like this in Africa. You can find alternative methods of healing. But I would like to know your journey on this because obviously you beat it. Congratulations. Awesome. How was it for you going through that stuff? Because like I've never really spoken in depth to anybody who's actually been through that. Fortunately, hand on the head.
I think with the family members that I know, I was to say my friends who have had family members who have passed away from COVID. A lot of it has been more of.
I wasn't talking about COVID. I was talking about the other big C.
Oh, cancer.
Yeah.
Yes. Where we get, for me, that journey has been almost 10 years journey and having cancer. And for me, it's from the inside out. Yeah. Now that I am again, 5 years free of cancer, I really realized that cancer is all about the emotion.
Okay.
Like when you go to the doctors and they first diagnose you, like those first 90 days, it really makes or breaks you. And especially for African Americans, because again, the trials in the U.S., are not so much for us, I should say, because I know for me, the stigmatism behind cancer is that if you're not ported up or, third or fourth stage cancer, then you don't have cancer. Anytime you get cancer, I don't care if you're first stage, you just diagnosed, it's still cancer. And I think that's where some of the stigmatism lies, is that people still think, oh my God, if you're not bedridden with cancer, that it didn't happen to you. It did happen. And it's an emotion. And I think when I went through it with my thyroid and I wasn't talking, it made me really realize of how I had to come out of that depression and that anxiety to really surround yourself around people who keep you motivated. Yeah. And that's where sometimes when it's hard to do, because cancer takes away your appearance.
Yeah, sure.
Myself, I was living as a bald-headed woman, just not even 90 days ago. I was bald-headed, and mine was untreated alopecia, but just so many variables that happen for us as a woman and what that looks like. And I started again using natural holistic. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm gonna pick up weed and and all those different things. For me, that wasn't my route. I went to ginger. I went to like sea moss, things that were now really coming into play. Like the sea moss, that was something that I wish I would have picked up when I was going through cancer. It's almost like having a holistic approach, having oils, essential oils from the Caribbean, from Mexico. Turmeric is another, because with COVID, it's almost like another cancer, and you're starting to find these natural holistic that cleanse you from the inside out. And that's the thing with cancer. And me having family members who are right now going through cancer. I have 3 cousins, 2 women that are breast cancer, and I have a cousin who is dealing with colon. They're 3 and 4 stage. And when you're getting to those stage, you have the ports and you have the chemo, and you have to do what the doctor says, but you also have to be emotional ready. And I keep going back to that emotional because people don't really talk about the emotion of having cancer. They talk about the physical portion and how you're supposed to look and act, but they don't really talk about the inside, like what is your faith and what are you putting in your body to clean you? Like carrot juice was one that I used when I had thyroid. I started drinking carrot juice every day. It tastes good, but it actually, there's so many holistics to it.
Carrot juice is beautiful, man.
Oh, Nigel,
I'm not sure about that, man.
And if you put a bit of nourishment in there, a bit of Guinness, woo!
And that's what I had to actually like start putting ginger and pineapple, mango.
Yeah, that's better.
Like we
mango,
have
I was gonna say
called Trader Joe's. And that was the first time I heard what jackfruit was and what all the the natural holistic things that it gives you, peppermint and eucalyptus, like aloe vera, things that I'm starting to learn, but it took me to actually, get down and out for you to start really saying, like, I don't want to get on all this medicine after it's over. What can I do to clean myself? And then again, also, it's some things you can't control. Liquor, smoking. And so, to be honest, I was a drinker. I mean, a social drinker, but I was a drinker and not realizing that those empty calories, that sugar was really, once you get cancer, it's there. It goes dormant. It goes away. As they say, you're in remission, but it never fully goes away. It just comes back in different forms. And a lot of it comes when you're stressed or when things are happening in your life as you start going through your journey. Cancer reforms in other places. Like I had cervical cancer, then it came thyroid, because I was smoking black and mild. So some of the things you can control also with cancer, especially for us, I keep talking about African Americans, that's my experience, versus our counterpartners, they have more of a higher rate of success than us. Because by the time we find out, especially for a man with colon cancer, for lung cancer, they're already third and fourth stages.
Already dead, man.
Yeah, or they're like 34. We don't get that early detection. So I'm always telling us, when you're getting 40, go get that colon test. I know men be like, I ain't getting no colon test.
If we don't feed my butt.
That is the difference of having that advocacy or having that, that will to go change before you even it happens, just to know. And, for me, I was like, I'm not having no test. And then when it happened, it was like, what? I got it again? And even the polyps that come, just different forms of cancer. It doesn't just mean cancer. It could come in polyps. It can come in cysts. So just learning also what cancer is, what it looks like, so that you can share. And my family always asks me, like, why do you share everything now? Because I wish I shared it. I wish somebody would have shared it when I was 20s and 30s. And that's another thing, like stigmatism. Our counterpartners, our ethnicity, they share everything. We were taught not to share.
We were taught you keep that in the house.
You keep it in the house.
Shame on the family.
And so
that's another big problem.
I'm able to understand what, like this alopecia. If you go back in my Facebook pages and you will see me 90 days ago in June, I was a complete bald-headed woman. Went for eczema. And it was untreated alopecia. All these years, for 5 years, I've been living as a bald-headed woman because of the pain, the nerve pain that I was enduring. Come to find out, it was alopecia. What? So just think if I would have never went to the doctors. And so once I found that out, I shared. And there was so many women who were like in my inbox, like, oh my God, this is what I was having. And I'm like, I thought this was your real hair, but you're wearing wigs and, and other forms of, hair remedies. And you were going through the same thing I was going through. So I think now, 2020, the voice is sharing, understanding that you have a obligation. That's how I feel, to share, because someone else don't have the strength that you have. And cancer for me became a warrior. It allowed me to be a strength, because there's so many of us that are going through things and they're like, there's no support. I can be that support. And social media has allowed me to embrace and talk to others that I never would have had a chance to talk to face because my mom said, or, that old time saying, you better not tell my business, or I'm going to whoop you. And now all that is struck out, like generational curses. Those are just having a conversation like we're having now about topics that really no one talked about except for in your family. So they became folk tales and fables. Now we're like dispelling all these fables, and we're talking about this journey that we're all on, and we're sharing things that we probably never shared before, because now we're understanding that when we share, I learned different remedies that you've been using, like how to treat alopecia, and now I have hair. Like, who would have known have hair just from
when you share, you grow.
Yeah, that's what I tell my kiddos. That's my motto this year in my classroom. Show me what you know so you can grow.
Boom. I like that.
That's my motto for this year for my class is show me what you know. So that's what I do. I show and I share. That's how I met you, watching your media podcasting, because like I wanted to know how I fit in teaching global 21st century, because they're from Somali. How do I teach this? I started searching all these different media and podcasts, and there yours was. That was interesting because this is what they listen to. This is what their parents taught. So just be able to share and talk to them like, oh, Miss Kelly, you look at the UK, you took the flight from Germany, my mom. And it just opens up a whole different dialogue, because now I have something that's common that they want to talk about. So I talk about me being on the show, and they're like, Miss Kelly, and they're able to talk about it and share. So now it just allows me to have a dialogue and a conversation with my kiddos about just with you two guys. I have African-American men that are from the UK and Germany. They're like, Miss Kelly, my mom is there. My dad lives there. And we go there once a year. And so they share, like, Miss Kelly, can you get on YouTube? So again, it's just evolved to growing and being open to not be afraid of what someone's going to say. So, and that's what the cancer really has flourished me to be open and love and not be afraid that if I say something that is going to be hurtful or come back on me, who cares? I want them to know, because I'm just like you. This is how I got through it.
But let's just say you're still you're very beautiful at least. So regardless of what happens here, bald head or not, beautiful lady, man. I get it from my pops, innit? I feel it from my pops, man.
Be careful, because my dad used to get women pregnant just by looking at them. So my
having hair, like you already know, as a woman having hair, it changes you. It's like, and my hair I didn't have any hair before it was a fad. Everybody now is cutting their hair off. My hair wasn't a fad. It was real life, and having to learn how to deal with a Black woman, educated and bald-headed. Wow.
Yeah. Again, society says that you needed to look a certain way. And I think the strength that you found from the cancer to look past all of that and say, something, this is about me and my survival and how I move through this journey. That for me is a turning point, because that's what a lot of people need to. The sooner people realise that it's not about what the rest of the world think about them, but it's about them. That's when they start to walk a different path. Yeah. Because as you're younger, all you're worried about is everybody else. What are they going to say? My friend's going to say, my boyfriend, him, you know what I mean? And then you get to a point in life, and some people get there earlier than others, where it's like, manana. And that's when your life starts, because you're not holding on to no baggage of, you're not feeling guilty about what somebody might think about you, even though they're not even thinking about you at that moment in time. You're just free. And that's it, man. Freedom. And that's why I became a teacher.
And I think back now, I'm working from corporate all these years, like 25 years, and then coming to a whole different job setting and job environment, but a whole nother career. And it allowed me to be vocal. Teachers, as yourself and media and podcasts and what we do, it allows us to be open to talk about those subjects that you probably wouldn't talk about. Those candid subjects we say, I don't want to talk about that, but that's hot topic. You want to talk, you want to get somebody involved. And that's what the teacher does. The teacher allows you to have that conversation that you probably wouldn't have, like a water cooler talk that you wouldn't even have because you're scared of what somebody's going to think. Being in media and what we do, we can talk and we can ask those questions that somebody else will be like, girl, you asked that crazy question? Yep, I sure did.
We go to the places where you wouldn't even venture.
And there it is. I go to places that you would never even think about going, because you can do that. And the question might get a no, or it might be like, why did you ask that? And you're like, because. And sometimes you get taken back if you're like, why did you ask that? Because I want to know. I don't want to debate. I just want to have a conversation about, again, that's where race is now. Race is now is a conversation. It's not a taboo no more. It's a conversation that people are really having to be uncomfortable, even as ourselves. When we look at racism to each other and even our white people, we have to have that conversation of just, of those things that like, oh, am I racist? Conversations you would never have. And that's what I think that's what COVID, cancer, and these riots, it really allowed us to be open and be transparent across the board, even how we deal with our government, transparent. So cancer, that's what cancer allowed me to do, to become a teacher, to show and grow and live. Like I live fiercely every day. That's I live fierce every day, fiercely. So that when I pass away, all I can say is that, you know what? Cancer gave me a new lease on life. And that's what people think cancer is, it's dried down and it will, if you allow it, because your doctors will give you you got 6 months to live.
Yeah, the classic, yeah.
That classic, 6 months to live, or there's nothing else we can do. Oh, I'm going to show you, but I can tell you. I can show you. And that's where I live. And I tell other people, you got to live a different way when you're cancer, when you have it. Once you get it, you got to live a whole different way. Yeah. And that's what it has allowed me at 50 to live a life that I always dreamed about, and now it's here. Never thought that cancer would bring it in. I see my cousins and I tell them, only God can tell you when you're going to go. But while you're there, let's ride this journey. Let's ride it. Talk, do what you want, travel, do the unthinkable, because what do you say? The impossible into the possible. And that's what cancer does, especially when you have a chance to get over it and understand what it does for your life, but also how to heal. Because cancer makes it changes your whole perspective. I can talk about that, because it's when somebody tell you got 6 months to live, you're like, what?
Yeah, you're like, damn.
Yeah, you're like, dang.
That's it, man.
No, and then you find that way. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And sometimes it's not the doctor's call. It's something that you got to do, something you got to find in yourself. That's where you got to live a different lifestyle, and you just share, because I always say that's my one person. As long as I teach one person or I touch one person, then I've done my job on this earth, to share what I know and what I've been through. So.
Yo. Okay, thank you, Tonya Kelly.
Oh, welcome.
We made it. We've done the marathon. We've done our 1 hour.
It was nice meeting you. Listen, I love the vibe and the conversation. Keep doing what you're doing.
You're coming back on. You know you're going to come back on.
You already know. Listen, I'm about to be a part of this show. Let's go.
That's guaranteed, man. That's guaranteed, man. Yeah. You're more than welcome. Like I said, man, I would love to have you part of the community, That's what I'm trying to build here.
I want to hear more about you. Next time, I'm going to be quiet, and I want to hear about you. So
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
You and Nigel. So next Tuesday, I want to hear more about you, so I can show
you interview us. Yeah.
Like men out here doing it. Listen, what we doing?
We love you too, man.
Fantastic.
Anyway, you want to tell us? You got anything to promote before we shut?
Yes. Again, you can find me all over social media at Empower Our Youth. My personal is Tonya Kelly MED on Facebook, on Empower Our Youth is my community organization. Again, we are a voice against bully, and we are based in Columbus, Ohio, but we want to be able to stretch it international and come aboard and be a part of it. But you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Empower Our Youth LLC, and teacher in the community for my students, even across the board. Again, distant learning did not just affect us, it affect the globe with COVID. And if you ever need resources and services, I am from kindergarten to grade 12. If I don't know it, I got educators in our group who can help you and get you the answer that you need. And that's teacher in the community, and it's on Facebook. And again, we do just like you do. We share and we involve our families, because I'm the village. I'm bringing back that village that was here, that was once here. It's back now through us. Yeah. And again, if you are, dealing with bullying, doesn't matter where you're located at, you can call me at 614-928-0016. My director, Tracy Kane, and myself, and my husband, Robert Kelly, we will talk to you and give you some self tips and families, as well as show you how to report bullying from the paper, the process, and the plan. Those are the 3 P's we talk about. And once you know those 3, then everything else, we will have that, you build that relationship. So again, there's different facets of who I am, but I thank you for always having this opportunity to learn and grow and share. And I can't wait. So Nigel, is you and Blackopolypse, it's time for y'all to tell me, show me, share. I can tell my boys, I can tell my babies here what it is to be an entrepreneur, to be strong, and what it is to be resilient in this 2020.
Yeah.
2020 COVID.
Nigel, you're going to bless us with anything? Thanks for that, Tonya.
Thank you, Tonya. Boy, well, I'm coming to the end of a very crazy period, and drum roll, I should have a new course launching in 2 weeks. It's going to be online. It's going to be my crash course, which I used to do live with a room full of people. It's now going to be online, so anyone can access it. It's going to be launched at a real cheap price, which will be going up towards the end of the year. But as soon as it's ready, I'm going to, it'll probably be next week, to be fair. So next week or the week after, I'm going to be posting and advertising and letting the world know that my course is live. It's live at last.
So where can we find you on social media at, Nigel? Where can we find you?
Right, you can find me at Nigel Campbell. I've got a Facebook page called Love Sales Hate Selling. I've also got a Facebook group called Love Sales Hate Selling. And I've also got another Facebook page called Joined Up Media, which is for the social media management and web development side of the business. So look me up.
Ooh.
I just want to say, your husband's name, Robert Kelly, man. I don't know, man.
Here we go.
I caught that. I was like, Robert Kelly.
As you said it, it kind of...
Hold on a second.
Happens in your brain.
Not
You don't kind of click it.
Not that R. Kelly.
Hold on a minute. Don't say that too loud, man. The Blackopolypse show. I got made some good music, though.
Anyway, made some badass tunes, man. His mind was evil, man, but his music was... You can't. There's not a dance that you'll go to and they'll put on. I'm telling you, the whole room will rock. It doesn't matter about what he's doing. Listen, man, the tune's heavy, man. We're forgiving his sins for this one tune. Seriously, man.
And that's how I feel. His personal life, but as soon as that step in the name of love, like it don't take but one song.
Step in the name of love.
Step in the name of love.
Step in love. Step in.
Anyway,
Stop it, man.
Thanks for listening to Blackopolypse. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Join the Blackopolypse podcast group. We have a group too. We have a page, like the page, all the stuff. And man, we'll be hearing from you guys. Hopefully, I'll be hearing from Nigel next week. Hopefully, Tonya will be joining us next week or the week after when she's got time. No pressure, but you can willing to join whenever you're ready. Just let me know. Hit me up and say you want to do the podcast tonight. Or if you want to do your own podcast, let me know, man. I'm always available to jump on our own exclusive podcast.
Do you do any blogging?
Yes, I do blogging out as much. I do have a podcast, and it's Sportzkelz Diva, and it's sports from a woman's perspective. So you can find me on Sportzkelz Diva, and I have a podcast for Sportzkelz Diva and Teacher in the Community. So yes, I would love to have you on my show and be able to come on, bring it to the States. So listen.
Yeah, definitely.
OHIO.
They'd be shocked because obviously a black guy with an English accent is a real like.
It's like, wait a second.
They're finding it hard to get their head around, especially if I start speaking like I speak the Queen's English as well, like I'm from Oxford or somewhere like that.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there, man. Good night, man.
See you later.